It's the fastest, most unpredictable speedway on Earth.
Iron made this place. Mined, smelted, forged. And every spring, we gather round and celebrate. Iron sharpening iron.
Oh, he gets tattooed!
But in order to take it all home, you need nerves of steel. The big one is back. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you from our Tuscaloosa studios as we take a look at what's coming up on the show today, plus our headlines thanks to our friends at RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They've given us a smart board to go through everything in a really interactive way on today's show. First of all, coming up, we'll be talking baseball with Zane Probst, Crimson Tide relief pitcher. A great conversation, kind of getting a snapshot of where this Alabama baseball team stands at the midway point of SEC play. Then we'll hear from a couple of head coaches. First of all, Kalen DeBoer. He's done through his first spring practice. He'll wrap up the 8-day experience that he had on Saturday with Coach's Checklist. Then we'll have another Coach's Checklist as well, checking in with Ashley Johnston, the head coach of the Crimson Tide gymnastics team, as Alabama prepares for this weekend at the NCAA Championships. Let's take a look at our headlines, starting with the Crimson Tide baseball team. A thrilling weekend against the Arkansas Razorbacks after Alabama fell in its first game on Friday night. That had made 5 losses in a row, a season-long losing streak for the Crimson Tide. What do? They win the next 2 games. First of all, in walk-off fashion in Game 2, and then a thrilling victory 5-0 in Game number 3. So a great win over the number 1 ranked team in the country, the Arkansas Razorbacks. And then on Tuesday, Alabama once again fell in a midweek contest like last week, fell 5-4 to South Alabama. This week fell to UAB by a 5-2 final score despite first inning home runs by Gage Miller and Justin LeBron. Now, once again, this weekend, number 1 is in town. That is not a typo. Last weekend, Arkansas was number 1. They lose 2 out of 3 to Alabama. They slide to number 2. Now Texas A&M, number 1 in the country. They just swept 6th-ranked Vanderbilt over the weekend in Bryan College Station. So great challenge coming up for Alabama, playing the number 1 ranked team back-to-back weekends. Zane Adams was terrific against Arkansas in that Game 3 win. 8 scoreless innings, only gave up 4 hits as he was named the SEC Pitcher of the Week. It'll be Greg Ferrone going tonight on the mound for Alabama. Ben Hess coming up on Friday night, and then Saturday afternoon it will be Zane Adams back to work for Alabama. Taking a look at Crimson Tide softball, last weekend it was Alabama against Texas A&M at home here in Tuscaloosa. Took the first contest, dropped the final 2, so Alabama this weekend will try and bounce back at Arkansas. The Razorbacks, and that'll be a fun series coming up this weekend. Also, everybody around the country got to see how special Alabama softball is, and especially that 2012 National Championship team, as it was chronicled in a new documentary by ESPN called Bama SB. It debuted on the SEC Network following the game that Crimson Tide played against Texas A&M on Monday. It is available to watch on demand on ESPN+. Really can't recommend that enough. Just a great story talking about the Crimson Tide softball culture and what made that team so special back in 2012. Currently, the Crimson Tide ranked 14th in the country. We're hoping for a great weekend coming up against Arkansas. Final notes on Alabama athletics. As we mentioned, gymnastics getting set for tonight's appearance in the NCAA semifinals. You've got to make it to the top 2 to advance to what will essentially be final meet of the year, the quad meet coming up on Saturday to determine an NCAA championship. So we cannot wait to see the results coming in from later tonight from Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. Best of luck to the Crimson Tide. Also, swimming and diving are earning 8 all-SEC honors. Tremendous performances in the pool from both the women's and the men's team. And then speaking of men's and women's tennis, they're both underway at the SEC tournament. So best of luck to the tennis teams competing this week, trying to win an SEC championship. Right now, again, we're midway through the college baseball season, and Zane Probst certainly was a huge boost to the Crimson Tide bullpen with his 2 solid innings against Arkansas this past Friday night. We talk about that, plus what's coming up for the Crimson Tide in our sit-down conversation with Zane Probst. Roll Tide and welcome back to the Advantage Center at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and it's not time for another conversation for Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover, now joined by Crimson Tide baseball pitcher Zane Probst. And Zane, Roll Tide, how's the season going for you in Alabama, especially after that series win against number 1 Arkansas?
Yeah, Roll Tide. Definitely, obviously, anytime you beat a number 1 team is huge, and get another any SEC wins are important, especially at this time of year, going forward, going into regionals and postseason. But I think the season's going well so far. There's always rough edges and rough times that come to any good team. So we're just trying to get back in there, and we got a big opponent coming in this week with Texas A&M, another number 1. So hopefully we can make the same thing happen.
Crimson Tide won the final 2 games of that series, lost on Friday night, but for you, that had to feel like a win in a lot of ways because it's the first time you'd been on the mound in a few months, 2 scoreless innings against a good team. How'd you feel getting back out there?
Yeah, it obviously feels really good anytime you go out there and do good. Coach Vaughn, after the game, he's like, no, there's no moral victories here. Like, we lost. We should be, upset that we lost and going into it. Let's just get back at it tomorrow. So, I definitely felt good to touch the mound and be back in there and get back into things. But, just without, not pitching the last couple, weeks and stuff, I just show up every day, attack, and just work with JJ, work with Coach Vaughn, and just be around the guys and just try to be the best teammate I can. So whether my name's called on or not, just trying to help the team in any way I can.
Yeah, tell us about that work you did between the Belmont appearance and what we saw last Friday. You mentioned you kept waiting for your opportunity. How do you feel like you earned it?
Yeah, I would just show up every day, on Sundays after a series. If I didn't pitch, I'm throwing a bullpen, JJ and our analytics guy, Kasen's obviously there too, helping out. So, I think I probably threw, 2 or 3 of those before I got another chance. But just, showing up and attacking every day and just showing the coaches that I'm, here to ring the bell. I think that's a big thing. That goes a long way for them. A lot of guys could roll over, but, just show up. And whether it's my catch play, whether it's a bullpen in the weight room, just, showing up and just trying to be the best guy I can and just be the best version of myself. And then, just throwing good in the pen and just finally got my name called. And JJ went to me, and I just took advantage of it.
So you had 2 scoreless innings, but then we watched you coming off the mound, and we were kind of wondering, okay, is he going to be available again the rest of the season? You were so fired up. It seemed like, what can you kind of take us into the mindset you had there? I know you were trying to fire up your teammates for the bottom of the ninth, but, you were excited.
Just like you said, trying to fire up the guys. Go in, I think it's 5-0, post a 0, try to keep the team in it. We go back in, I'm sit for a while. We put up, 3 there?
Yeah.
We put up 3, so, anything can happen with this. Our lineup's deadly, so 2 runs is nothing. So just got that final out to keep us in the game, and then I was just I'm going to lose my mind right here because I know I'm probably not going back out. If we tie this thing up, we're obviously going to call in the big man AD. I'm not going back out, so I'm going to lose it right here and try to get the guys, fired up for our last ABs right here. So that was just the mindset, let's just get after it. I've always kind of played that way. High school at Seton Hall where I went for 2 years, just been a big emotional guy when it comes, and I just play with that a lot. So it was about time. And it was a lot of build up. It's been a while since I got out there, so I was ready to do it. But yeah.
Yeah, you were fired up. It was a good moment. And you mentioned the Crimson Tide scored 3 runs, bottom of the 8th. Yeah. Every game against Arkansas, scored runs in the bottom of the 8th. That's right after Dixieland Delight. Have you guys taken notice of that? Oh, man.
Yeah. No, that's huge. We've been wanting that for a while, obviously. And then talking to Jess Pear about it, I think she's the one who ended up getting that done, so shout out to her. But, yeah, no, we love it. And, just being in the bullpen, you'll see us. Just pay attention out there. We'll be standing up. We're all, swinging back and forth. We're going crazy for it. So I think it definitely just fires everyone up. That's our song. That's Alabama's song. So we love it. Definitely makes a big difference for us.
That's a fun thing we've seen at the Joe. Also a fun thing that's back, the camo hats. What went into that discussion among you players bringing back the camo hats?
The camo hats, I honestly have no idea. I'm going to be honest. I got a text one day. Junior was like, hey, come get your camo hats between this time and this time. And then I was like, all right, I guess we're wearing them again. But, I like them a lot. They look better. I like them.
That's certainly cool. Yeah. So, again, that's part of this current Crimson Tide team. We'll kind of work our way back to that. Let's start with you. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, I'm from Mill Hall, Pennsylvania. I'm about 25 minutes from Penn State University. So just very rural area, small town. Just grew up. Little League baseball is very big in my area. I'm about 30 minutes from the Little League World Series in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. So just kind of grew up playing baseball, football, basketball, but always baseball in my town is huge. We had a team make to the Little League World Series from our hometown in 2011, and our high school baseball program is very good and has been good for 20 plus years now. So just kind of grew up in that atmosphere in small town. So.
What's the atmosphere like of the Little League World Series?
Yeah, it's crazy. Especially I remember back in 2011, I think it was, when we went, our Little League team, literally 25 minutes down the road from the Little League World Series, went, and there's 40,000 people there from my town that came, set an attendance record until a couple years later. But yeah, it's just a really cool thing, and just living that close for growing up, like in playing districts and making the all-star team. Like our district championship games were played at Volunteer Stadium, so I got to play there a couple times and stuff like that. So it's just awesome. It's a good thing for all the kids.
Absolutely. And for you growing up in Pennsylvania, were you Phillies, Pirates? Where'd you fall?
Phillies, definitely Phillies. Yeah, I'm a all Phillies fan. Like
All Philly
Eagles,
sports.
go Eagles. Yeah, all Phillies.
So you got to like a lot of the Alabama guys that are now playing for the Eagles.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Big time. Devontae Smith. I remember he got drafted. I called my dad. I was like, we got him. Like, let's go. I was going crazy, but yeah, no, for sure.
That's really cool. Did you grow up Penn State fan?
Yeah, big time Penn State fan. Still am, but obviously got to root for the Tide now, and I love it here. It's definitely compares going to Beaver Stadium to here. But yeah, no, Penn State fan for sure.
So for you, as you're on your baseball journey, was kind of Penn State the ideal school for you in mind, or how'd you kind of view your high school recruitment?
Yeah, so always definitely a dream to go to Penn State. Growing up there, like so close, and just my whole childhood and whole life, I've always gone to Penn State games. But I talked to them a little bit. I was a big like football guy too in high school, so like in the summer I didn't play travel ball. I stopped playing travel ball when I was like 12. So then I went to like a showcase after my football season was done my junior year, and I got to throw off the mound like an inning, and I forget what it was, but like I did well in the inter squad or the showcase, and then Penn State talked to me a little bit, and then kind of Seton Hall, a coach came out to me, and he's like, just good luck in basketball season, because it was at the local college in my town, D2 college, so those coaches knew me already and stuff. I was like, all right, cool, like thanks. And then a couple days later, they texted me for a visit, and I went on 2 college visits. Like I didn't even go anywhere. I went to Mount St. Mary's and Seton Hall, and I came home from my Seton Hall visit. They gave me an offer, and I was like, yeah, I'm going there, because I didn't really have anything else for baseball. I had football offers, but I knew like longevity and like better chance to make it professional was definitely the baseball route. I wasn't going to be an NFL quarterback by any means, but yeah, so like recruitment was kind of like very slow for me with like baseball. Like I wasn't a lot of like big schools, I would say, until I like kind of had to go there and do it, and then I hit the portal. So
I'm curious, who else recruited you for football?
I talked to a lot of Division II schools in the PSAC areas, like Penn State's or Pennsylvania State Conference, and then I talked to Robert Morris a little bit, got some attention from Youngstown State, and then Bucknell University is in my town. It's like an hour and a half away from me, so I talked to them a little bit too, but wasn't like anything like crazy serious, just like little like beginning spurts of recruitment. But then once a baseball offer came, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like I think that's what I've always done. It was my first sport. I've been playing it forever, so I went that route.
Yeah, no, it's a great pick for you. What do you miss most about football?
Just, high school football is awesome, no matter where you play at. Just miss everything about it, running out there, Friday night lights. I liked football a lot. I grew up playing it. Big football-like family, too. Like, my grandfathers were both, like, really good and set a bunch of records and stuff at their high schools. So, football's football. It's just different. Like, you don't really get any kind of adrenaline like you do when you're playing football. Like, you're getting hit every single play, and just, I don't know. It's just a different game. I love it.
So you make the decision to go to Seton Hall. Was your spring senior year, was that 2020? Did the pandemic shut down your senior season?
Yeah.
And how was it trying to transition to college through all the restrictions we had that year?
Yeah, so fortunately, I grew up in a small town, so kind of like the COVID issue was existent but non-existent. Like, I live in like surrounded by mountains and stuff and like the outdoors, so like I just took advantage of that. Like, me and my friends were always outside together like my senior year. So that really wasn't an issue, but it was definitely like hard to transition because I was kind of just like I would say like a raw player. Like I had a good arm, but that was really it. Like I didn't know how to pitch yet, so like I didn't ever like throw plyo balls or like any of that stuff that you see today. So my pitching coach from Seton Hall that summer is like, have you ever done these drills like with plyos and stuff? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So he like sends me a link, I buy them, and then I have like videos. I'm like sending him videos of me at like my high school field like doing these drills and stuff. So like the transition was different, and then going into that fall, like we had to be masked up at practice, and like we were getting COVID tested all the time and stuff like that. So it was definitely like tough, but playing an outside sport's a lot easier to get away with, like pulling the mask down and stuff like that. So that's what we did. We tried to get away with as much as we could. But yeah, it was definitely not as smooth as probably a normal transition, but it wasn't like anything crazy either.
What do you feel like you took the most from your time at Seton Hall those 2 years?
I just grew and found myself as a player, I would say. I came in, like I said, like I was very, very raw. Like I didn't know how to pitch, and like my first couple outings in the fall weren't great. I didn't really have any off speed or anything like that. So then I just went to work with the pitching coach there, and he's like, you played like quarterback and stuff, like try throwing a slider, like it's kind of like the natural same motion as that, and you're used to that. So I started throwing that, and then it kind of took off from there, and still that's probably my best pitch today. Like I come in the game, I throw a lot of those. So, but it was good for me. It was a small school. Like everything's in place. Like I got to feel like how the structure and the routine is. I got to learn like college baseball at a high level for 2 years before for hitting the portal. But yeah, I definitely learned a lot, and it was cool. Like I got action right from being a freshman on. So like I never really like had to like sit or take that in. And then I had a really good freshman summer. So then I went back my sophomore year, and I was kind of like the guy out of the pen, like the closer to come in, just because of like my emotion. Like, I mean, we saw Friday, like I would just probably do that all the time. I have a lot of videos of me going crazy off the mound. So I think they liked that, but it was just really good. Like small school, I got to get my feet wet in college baseball. And I think once I grew and learned how to become a pitcher and not just a thrower, like I knew that I probably had a higher ceiling to go, and that's why I ended up like ultimately hitting the portal.
So that summer right after your sophomore year, did you go in the portal first, or time in the Cape Cod League first and then you hit the portal?
So
How'd that all work out?
So I went to the Cape, and I was doing very well. I made the All-Star team, and there wasn't much time left to hit in the portal, and it was like a very hard decision for me. I was like talking to my parents every day. I'm like, I'm playing with the best right now. Like I'm facing guys that are in the SEC, Big 12, like all these Power 5 kids are up here, and I'm having like a lot of success. Like I think I can do it. And like obviously next year, like my junior year, going into my junior year, I was like, this is a big year for me, like draft year, and like obviously the dream I've had since I was 4 years old of playing professional baseball, like it's almost here. So I think I need to make this move. And like my parents were great with it. They're like, whatever you want to do, like we support you 100%, like whatever the decision is. So then I enter the portal and talked to Coach Bo, and obviously like Dylan Ray left that year. So he's like, we need a back end guy. Like that's kind of what we're missing. We got a really good team, a lot of guys coming back. Like I think we can do something pretty special, and we need that kind of guy. So that was what I came in for. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to Alabama. I didn't even take a visit. Like my first day here was 2 days before class started, and Bo was like, hey, like you and your dad come meet me, I'll show you around. So like my first time seeing Alabama was literally 2 days before class, but I just wanted to come here bad. And then obviously that was like supposed to be my role, and obviously that didn't happen. We had AD develop into AD, and he kind of took over that, which was awesome. But yeah, that was how that went. So
what stood out to you about Alabama when you first got here?
I mean, I think just growing up too, a big part of that is like being like a big football fan and stuff. Like obviously I saw Alabama everywhere. I mean, they're the best team ever. So I've always kind of had that like in me. Like, I mean, Alabama, like their football team is amazing. So that school must be pretty sick. So like obviously it's kind of a dream come true to come down here and play. And then the SEC baseball, obviously as I got older, I learned like that's the spot to be in. But yeah, so I loved it from the start. Like I remember I don't think my dad put his camera down the whole time. We walked through like the facilities, the baseball facilities, and like the dining hall and just like all of that. Cause you know, coming from like a mid-major at Seton Hall, like, I mean, our locker room was probably about a little bit bigger than the size of this room. And like we had like a normal dining hall, like a lot of other schools. Obviously not a lot of people have what we have here and the resources, but yeah, it was just a big difference. Like it's just a whole nother animal. So it was awesome to see.
And then how about when you get into SEC play and you're traveling, going to sold out stadiums on the road, plus you have sold out games at home as well. I imagine the energy is just much different.
Oh yeah. I mean, going from like where I played, would probably have maybe 200 people, 300 people like in the game or at the game. So I remember it was a funny story. I was pitching. We went to Auburn and played a fall scrimmage, and I like come in the game, and I think I get like the first two guys out or something like that. Like I'm feeling good. And Auburn like sold out or like our fall scrimmage. There was probably like, I don't know, like 6,000 people there. Probably the most I've ever played in front of. And then I like give up a double. Then I throw like 8 straight balls. And then I finally get out of it. I come in and Bo like looks at me. He's like, can you pitch in the SEC? Like, are you sure you can do this? And I was like, yeah, I got it. I went back out and I settled in finally. But it was just different, a lot to take in. Like, I mean, the Auburn's fans were obviously hammering me, counting out every ball I threw. And then we just go to other stadiums. Like last year's schedule, I think is definitely like awesome for experience. Like we got to go to LSU, to Texas A&M, to Arkansas. So you're playing in front of 11,000 people every weekend. So it's crazy. And then obviously as we started winning, like the Joe started to pack out, and like that regional experience we had last year was like unbelievable. So, I mean, baseball's finally coming around, I think, here, and we're kind of building that path right now. Got a great team this year, just like we did last year, so hopefully the fans keep coming out, and because we feed off of that big time. Like, the energy they bring, like, that matters a lot, especially, like, as an opponent playing, too. Like, that matters big time when we're heckling the right fielder or, like, whatever it is. Like, we love that, too, so that fires us up.
You mentioned you talked to Coach Bohannon in recruiting, but for you, working every day, mostly with Coach Jackson, the associate head coach and the pitching coach, from kind of the first bullpen on, what did he help you with the most here?
I mean, Coach Jackson's just an awesome guy, just obviously, like, just brings you up, like, builds you up as much as you can. Like, he tells you what you need to work on, but it's very, like, straightforward. Like, he's not going to jump down your throat or anything like that, and, like, he always has a plan for you. So just, like, I was like hitting my stride when I came here too. So he was just like, let me build off of that. I remember, like, the first couple of times I threw, he's like, I just want to watch you and just, like, see. And then even from there, like, after, like, my first couple of bullpens, like, it was never, like, any big changes. It's just kind of, like, subtle, and he's going to let you be who you are, which I really love. Like, I think that's very important. Like, when guys come in and you try to change everything about them, like coaches that do that, like, that's when stuff kind of goes south, because, like, everybody throws different, and it's obviously different for everybody. But no, Coach Jackson's amazing at that, and just, like, letting you be yourself. And obviously, like, if there's things to work on, that guy's he's gonna tell you, and we're gonna hammer at it and go to work every day. But he's just awesome, lets you be who you are. And if stuff needs to be changed and you need to work on something, like, then we'll go to work and we'll sit down and plan that out and, like, see what that looks like. But yeah, I love him. That's why that was a big part of, like, I think a lot of reasons, like, why guys came back from this, like, past year that we had too. Like, I know, talking to a bunch of guys, like, in the summer when we didn't have, like, maybe a coach yet, or like, guys were still like, I don't know if I should hit the portal or not. Like, a lot of the times, like, talking to the pitchers, the big thing, and even some position guys, was like, is Coach Jackson going to be there? Like, that guy's the heartbeat, and for our staff, and just for, like, I think our team too. So we needed him back big time, and a lot of guys love him. So
yeah, how did you see him manage everything once the news came on May 4th? Coach Bohannon's no longer going to be the head coach. JJ takes over, and then even after the great run, he is able to stay on this coaching staff with Rob Bond.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously JJ did great, and I think the biggest thing too is he kind of just leaned on, like, the leaders of that team, like the Jim Jarvis, Tommy Seidel, Pinckney's, guys like that. He was just kind of handed them the keys in the driver's seat and said, hey, this is your team. We're just gonna play ball now. Like, you guys come together, and then we'll see and ride this thing out. Like, nobody really expects anything from us now because of what happened. And, obviously that could be detrimental, but, those guys kind of just rallied us in the locker room. And also JJ just allowed us to have fun and play baseball. Like, I remember it was, like, after every series win, after that happened, like, JJ was bringing, like, ice cream trucks on the field, and we're getting fired up like we're 5 years old again. Like, ice cream truck drives to the gate by the bullpen, and, like, we're going out there after practice and we're having ice cream together. Or I remember, like, what was it? Like, we put a movie on, like, the scoreboard, and we, like, had food catered, and, like, we just played games and stuff like that. So, like, I think he just kind of allowed us to, like, have fun, but also just gave the team the keys and was like, I'm going to sit here and watch, and let's see what you guys can do. So
was that about the most fun you've ever had playing this game, those last few weeks of the regular season? Then obviously the great run, you had played well in Hoover, and then obviously winning the regional was really special here. Yeah,
no, that was a blast. Something that you, like, dream to be a part of. Like, obviously when you're in high school going to play college baseball, like, obviously everybody wants to make the College World Series. Watching that is crazy. But yeah, that was really fun, because, the best part about it was nobody really expected us to do anything. Like, everybody counted us out. Like, that happens with your coach, and everybody's kind of like, oh man, like, they're done. And then we just kind of showed everybody that we weren't, and we came together as a team. And then once you come together as a team and, like, you're having fun, like you're a little kid again playing Little League, that's when you're going to be at your best at all times. So it was fun. And to go on that run and to be able to play in a regional and win a regional here and host for the first time in a long time, and then go to a super regional knowing that you're only 2 games away from going to the biggest stage at this in this sport, was definitely pretty fun. But yeah, that run was awesome. Yeah.
Then Coach Vaughn was hired quickly after the time in Wake Forest came to a close. What stood out to you about him when you first got to meet him?
Yeah, I mean, he came and talked to our team with Mr. Byrne, and I kind of, like, knew that he was going to be a good guy, obviously, but it was like a short talk, like 20, 30 minutes. This was after this was after our season was ended. So, like, the only thing I'm ready to do probably right now is, like, get home. I haven't been home in a while, like, enjoy my summer a little bit before I had to go to the Cape again. But once I really got back and we had our first team meeting, and once we started, like, practice, that's when I knew, like, okay, like, this guy's pretty awesome. And like the guys he brought in too, like Coach Pap and Coach Mo, like number one, they're pretty much like they're young and they're our age, which is awesome. And just like the energy they bring is like very different from any coaching staff I've been a part of. Like they want to like talk to you. They want to know like how you're feeling. They work with you. They let you be who you are as a player. Like I talked about like JJ, like doing that with the pitchers too. Like they let us play how we want to play. Now, obviously, if like stuff needs to be worked on, like we said again, like they're gonna hammer it and they're gonna go to it. Like those guys work as hard as anybody I've ever met. So, just I would say the difference is like the energy they bring and like they want us to be better baseball players, but like more importantly, better men too. And I think that was like an important message. And like especially like growing up and like as I get older, like you learn that like that's probably more important at the end of the day. But just like the way they go about their business is just really, really awesome. And the values that they hold in this program is awesome. And we're trying to build that. And they like kind of gave us the keys too. Like, hey, this is your team. No matter what, like we're going to show up and work because that's what we're here to do is work every single day. But like, this is your guys' team. So that locker room needs to be as tight as it can get. And that's how you're going to go far. So we kind of right from the get go, we built that and it's just been great with those guys.
And it seems like there's just no panic from this group, whether it's coaches, the players, even when things didn't go well against Georgia or Kentucky, you come right back. Even a loss in a midweek against South Alabama, come back out, have that great mindset for Arkansas. Is that what makes this team special? Yeah,
and, you know, we kind of made it a point from the fall, like in the fall, to like come close as a team. Like we had to do that. We had, I forget what it was, like the number, like 26 new guys come between the portal and freshmen. So, like, it's a brand new team. None of us knew each other. So, like, we had to kind of learn each other fast and, like, become close. So, like, we kind of made that a point, and then it fell off. And then it was after the South Alabama loss, like, Coach Vaughn really looked at us and was like, you guys have pretty much two options here. Like, you can keep doing what you're doing and not playing good baseball, or you can find each other in that locker room, lean on each other, and we'll go from there. And that's kind of what we did. We went in the locker room as a team, and we had just a bunch of guys stood up and spoke on it and like what we thought we needed to do. And then we came out and beat number one Arkansas. So, and obviously, like if you talk to anybody, like if you're in the dugout, you would have seen this past weekend, and like even against UAB, the energy level that we have in the dugout, and like I think everybody can see it too. Like we're just playing different, and I think that was one of the big things is like reverting back to the hard work that we just put in all fall, all spring, like preseason, like coming in, like we're a really good baseball team and we've showed that and we know that's how we can play. Like the biggest difference is like showing up every single day at the ballpark and being like, no matter if it's the Yankees or like a little league team who you're playing, like we're going to win no matter what. And I think just carrying that kind of confidence and like swagger around us now is definitely going to make a difference. And it showed this past weekend. So just having the energy and the confidence that like, we're a really good baseball team, and we know we are. I think that goes a long way. So,
all right, I got to get some thoughts on some Alabama pitchers from you. Let's start with a fellow guy in the bullpen, Alton Davis second again. How electric is he? I mean, we feel it in the stands, and for me, press box calling the game. But for you guys in the dugout, I mean, he's emotional. You guys feed off that emotion.
I mean, obviously, if you're a big Alabama baseball fan, you know that AD's emotional, and you know we love that too. And like, you know, just in the ninth, we know that guy's getting the baseball, and this game's pretty much over every time. It's definitely a great feeling. But, you know, AD works hard, and that's just who he is at all times. Like, AD's a big emotional guy at all times for us, and that's awesome. Obviously, he comes into the light show, and, you know, Till I Collapse is pretty sick too. But, that guy cares a lot, and he's electric. And, you know, AD is the first one to tell you that, like, this year so far, he hasn't been probably himself like the AD we saw last year with, like, the really heavy fastball and the wipeout stuff. But, you know, against Arkansas in that atmosphere, that guy stepped up, and it's going to be different. Like, for the second half of the season, you're going to see a different AD, which is awesome, and that's who we need. So, you know, just obviously it's a great feeling having that guy in the pen. Like, we know if it's a close game in the ninth, we're going to win bringing that guy in. Like, there's not too many times that anything else is going to change with the score. So it's great. And his emotion obviously fires us up. So we love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Some other quick thoughts. Let's go with Ben Hess.
Ben Hess. Yeah, I mean, obviously Ben's a great pitcher, man. Like, has the best stuff in the country, I would say. I'd put him up there for sure. That guy works hard, and he knows what he has to do. He knows his body better than anybody else. Like, Ben knows what he has to do, and obviously it's been off to, like, probably not the greatest start for him this year. There's a lot of pressure riding on that guy, but he's going to show up and he's going to work every single day. And, you know, it's going to turn. Like, you can only keep a dog down for so long. So that guy's going to be up and we're going to need him. So definitely going forward, we're going to need him to lock in big time, and he's going to do that because he wants this team to win, and he needs it for himself too, like build that confidence. So I think, and honestly, his outings have been whatever, it's one inning every time, so it's not a big deal, but we have the offense to pick it up too. So if he goes out there and gives up 2 or 3 runs, it doesn't matter with less offense that we have. But no, Heater's great, and we're going to need him down the stretch here, and we're going to see a different guy too. I believe so. So
How about the guy on the mound tonight, Greg Ferrone?
Bulldog. That's all I got to say. That guy's a killer, man. You kind of knew that from Greg, like when you first met him in like first couple outings in the fall, like he just kind of sees red out there, and like he pitches with a lot of aggressiveness, and that's just kind of his personality too at all times. But now that guy's a Bulldog, and it's going to be a good one tonight. And I think he wants this too. Like, he's going to pitch on 4 days rest right here. We're moving him up to Thursday, but there's not one time in that guy's mind he's like, oh, I'm going to be sore, like ready. Like that guy's like, give me the ball every single day, and I'm going to go out there and see red and be mad, and that's how I'm going to pitch. So, yeah. No, we love Greg. He's awesome.
Of course, everyone loves you, Zane Probst on the team, but there's another Zane on the team. Zane Adams, now he is the SEC Pitcher of the Week. I mean, he threw the ball brilliantly against Arkansas.
No, that was incredible to see, and we're obviously super happy for him. Like, that's not an easy task. Like, he starts out as a midweek starter for us, and then we kind of just throw him in on the weekends, and, like, that's a freshman in a big-time spot this weekend against the number 1 team in the country when our team needs this win big time to get rolling, and that guy stepped up, and it was just awesome to see. The guys were fired up. I think Riley Quick might have picked him up and put him on his shoulders in the huddle and just stuff like that. We were going crazy for him, but yeah, no, it was awesome. It was awesome to see, and we're really happy for that guy, and we need him to do it again this weekend. So we need him to toe the rubber and go another 8 if he can. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you mentioned this weekend. Now we've got 5 weekends left in SEC play, SEC tournament after that. Going to need some wins to make sure that in June baseball's played here in Tuscaloosa. Just how motivating is that for you guys?
We're not going to try to think about it too much. I think just the goal every single day is 1 game at a time, 1 pitch at a time. So, I mean, we definitely know what we have to do, and this was a good start this past weekend. Now we have another great challenge and opportunity in front of us starting today against another number 1 team rolling in here to the Joe. So, I think if we bring the energy and have the confidence that we did last weekend, and we can just keep carrying that forward, and then the wins will stack up on their own and pile up. So we're about to get rolling, and the second half is going to be very important for us. We want baseball back here. We want another regional big time, obviously.
We certainly look forward to it. Zane Probst, thank you for your time.
Yes,
it's been a fun conversation here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. All the best. Roll Tide.
Yeah, thank you. Roll Tide.
The NASCAR Cup Series haulers are officially rolling into the iconic Talladega Superspeedway this week. Don't miss out on the opportunity to secure your seats and witness the thrill of 4-wide racing at NASCAR's biggest and baddest track this Sunday, April 21st. Between the one-of-a-kind Geico campgrounds at Talladega and the unparalleled fan access provided by the Talladega Garage Experience, there is something for everyone to enjoy. Lock in your tickets today at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Huge crowd going to Talladega this weekend for the races. A huge crowd was in Bryant-Denny Stadium this past Saturday for the 2024 Golden Flake A-Day game as it capped Spring Football 2024, the first spring football conducted by the new head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Kalen DeBoer. Here's some of what he had to say following the A-Day victory for the offense over the defense and just overall spring practice coming to a close.
Great day, fun day, just all together. Obviously, it culminates with the scrimmage, and we're going to go spend some time with the guys and their families. But got a chance to meet with the parents this morning, met with some different groups, got a chance to get Coach Saban and in front of the team. That was pretty cool. Just get a chance to see him, and that's been since January really where that's happened. So really a lot of cool things scrimmage-wise. Shoot, if it was a half, right, it'd been a tale of 2 halves. But that's why I keep playing. So many things that we're going to get to learn from this scrimmage. Depending on what side of the ball you're on. So I think overall, I was trying to keep track during, so I might be off. But I think we had 6 penalties between the 2 sides, which over the 85 plays probably roughly. Kind of guessing that's not too bad. That's actually improved each and every scrimmage. So, I'm looking at those things on where we're improving, rushing touchdowns offensively, the response defensively, getting down early, and some of those things. Little things that the game brings with the TV. ESPN broadcasting it, and us working through TV timeouts and when to take the huddle and just talking through that. Right now, not that big of a deal if we're out there standing over the ball, but it will be this fall. And just a lot of things with guys who have never had that game action, starting from the quarterbacks to the rest of offense and defensive sides. So, I thought it was a good overall scrimmage. Again, both sides kind of had their moments. So, yeah, it was. I thought they did a better job when they saw a hole today. They hit it. And especially early on, there were some seams, and they're not dancing, which means they're getting more and more comfortable with the schemes, the trusting of the offensive line. So I thought that was something. There was a couple more tackles broken, which goes both ways, right? You want to see those tackles made by the defense. There's more tackles broken early on in the scrimmage than what I've seen. We've been pretty sure with our tackling up until the early part of the scrimmage today. So, and then they responded and did a better job. I think it's come along for all the quarterbacks, so that would mean, with Jalen too, it's something that's progressed throughout the spring. I don't think any of our, guys, because it's just timing, it's confidence, it's read progressions and things like that, and identifying, and there's my one-on-one, there's the guy, where to put the ball. So I think it's been something that's gotten to this point, and it was great to see him, continue to take that next step and have that progression. So the last week or two, I think that's been pretty consistent. Early on, I can't say any of the quarterbacks were just getting dialed in, and those plays were being made. So that's what got the offense to a hot start. With the scrimmage is those explosive plays, and I love that we can come out of the locker room and the kickoff happened and we're ready to go. Throw, catch. I thought the protection, especially the first half to 3 quarters, the protection was as good as we've had. Now, some of that's attributed to early on just kind of being a little bit more maybe vanilla defensively, things like that. But the offense stayed ahead of the chains, stayed in positions where, they could be dual threat, run, pass options, take your shots when they were there.
Iron made this place. But in order to take it all home, you need nerves of steel. The big one is back. Get your tickets now at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com.
We go from one head coach of the Crimson Tide to another here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We appreciate Kalen DeBoer with Coach's Checklist. Now let's hear from Ashley Johnston. Her team has made it to the final weekend of competition in NCAA gymnastics, and hopefully tonight, great performance coming up in the semifinals in Fort Worth, Texas, moving on to Saturday's finals in collegiate gymnastics. But before the Crimson Tide and Coach Johnson left for Texas for the national championship, she got a chance to speak with the media. Here's Coach's Checklist from Ashley Johnston.
Super excited for this week. It's been a marathon, not a sprint. I've been saying that week after week, and here we are in the final week with an opportunity to compete on the biggest stage against the toughest teams in the country. And so since August and even before that, we've been working to build our culture, to build our gymnastics, to build the people, to be ready to take on any challenge. And I'm really excited about where our team's at. We've had a really good week in the gym. A lot of great work happening, a lot of just athletes challenging athletes to find that edge, to really make the jump from good to great in any environment, in any situation that they might step into. So overall, we're prepared, we're ready, we're in a really good spot, and now it's about how we own that process, how we carry that mentality from the moment that we leave to go to Fort Worth tomorrow all the way through to the final night of competition. I think the biggest improvement from this team is not shying away from the hard moments. It's something that we've worked really hard on, and both individually and as a team, of when faced with adversity, it's all about how you respond and how you approach the next moment. And I think we've seen that time and time again. I think about the moment that Makari got injured, and I think about how the team really rallied and came together in that moment to overcome adversity, to prioritize the right things, how Makari handled herself and how she has poured into the team and been an incredible leader. I could go through example after example, but I think that's the biggest improvement is in the face of adversity. This team knows how to turn the page and focus on the right things and handle hard moments well. Yeah, having 7 7 seniors, 4 super seniors and 3 regular seniors, I guess we'll say. Having that experience and that perspective is incredibly valuable because they've done this enough times to know when it's going well and to know when it's not going well. And so to have that type of leadership that can step in and speak to those moments and help our younger ones learn that quicker and not to have to go through as many of those challenging moments to recognize, oh, this is how I need to adjust my approach. So that senior leadership has been really incredible. They've stood firm for the things that they want out of the season, and they've made sure to pour into the younger ones. And I think that's been a huge part of why we are where we are and what's going to help our younger ones continue to be successful moving forward.
Crimson Drive is driven by NASCAR, and the Geico 500 is only a few days away. Don't miss out on the unrivaled speed, the pageantry, and just the fan experience that Talladega has to offer as NASCAR returns to the High Banks this Sunday, April 21st. You can lock in your tickets today at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Best of luck to our NASCAR friends as they're going to have a little bit of an Alabama flavor coming up for the races this weekend. We'll have more on that coming up on next week's shows, but it's fun that NASCAR is coming back to Talladega this weekend. For the Crimson Tide, it's going to be a busy weekend as well as we take a look at what's coming up on the Crimson Tide Sports Network with our upcoming schedule presented by Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious. We have the relish and the pickle chips with us on set today. You can find so many Wickles Pickles products online at WicklesPickles.com for your next Bama tailgate. Let's see what's coming up across the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Well, later tonight, Crimson Tide baseball, and we will have a booth cam available for that game on all of our social media platforms like you're watching the show right now. Come right back here at 6 p.m. for the booth cam presented by Country Financial, and a new episode of Tide TV This Week is also out on demand on RollTide.com, going to our TV affiliates across the state. Then Friday, softball will be in action starting its series against the Arkansas Razorbacks in Fayetteville, and then after that, Crimson Tide baseball also starting at 6 p.m. tomorrow, weather permitting. There could be some inclement weather coming to Tuscaloosa, impacting the Friday and Saturday games, but everything on schedule at the moment for Saturday at 2 o'clock for baseball against Texas A&M, and then the softball team will wrap up its series 8 p.m. on Saturday, 1 p.m. coming up on Sunday, and then Monday night we will have our final Hey Coach of the Year in Tuscaloosa. As I mentioned, in Tuscaloosa, we'll have another one coming up down by the beach in Lower Alabama coming up the next week, but we're hoping to have Kalen DeBoer, the head coach of the Crimson Tide football team, join us for another edition of Hey Coach, and then we'll have more baseball, more Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR, more softball coming up next week as well. Also, make sure you follow all of our social media platforms listed below to stay up to date with everything going on with the Crimson Tide Sports Network and Alabama Athletics. It's going to wrap up this busy edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Huge thank you to Zane Probst. A really fun sit-down conversation with him at this critical point of the Alabama baseball season as 5 SEC weekends are in the books, 5 still to go, and Zane Probst is going to be a huge part of the bullpen moving forward for Alabama. Special thanks as well to Ethan Kierman. He produced not only that interview, but this entire show here on Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Hard to believe it, but it's now been 200 shows we've been able to bring you social media-only content. We've had a lot of these interviews archived as well on our Alabama Insider podcast, but a standalone social media show, pretty rare in collegiate athletics, and we're glad to bring it to you each and every week here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. For everybody with the network and the Crimson Tide, this is Roger Hoover saying thank you for watching this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Have a great weekend, everyone. Roll Tide.